Welcome to episode 65. I have here with me Katrina Anastasia. Welcome to my show, Katrina.
Thank you for having me.
Can you let the audience know and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a singer-songwriter and designer, independent from Toronto, Canada, born and raised. I also manage a studio called Object Studio in the East End, which is really fun and creative. But I've been making music pretty much my whole life, but seriously, since I was like 16 to 20 is when I was kind of discovering that I could do music and actually had a chance at it or actually had the skill for it. And I've been
Yeah,
putting music out since I was 21. I kind of put my first song out right in the middle of the pandemic. I kind of just went for it. I said, I'm tired of
yeah,
waiting. I'm tired of holding
yeah.
back. So put my single out then. And then I've just continued to try to be as consistent as possible with releasing music and content.
Amazing, amazing. And what would you say your struggles and hardships was like growing up?
My struggles and hardships. Well, I grew up with my mom. So my mom's originally from Saskatchewan, and so all my mom's side of the family's in Saskatchewan, and she came and moved to Toronto. So it's pretty much just her and I here. I do have some second cousins here, but we don't see them so often. I also grew up as a single child with a single mother, or sorry, an only child with a single mother. So it was a lot of just like her and I growing up and me learning how to be very independent and learning how to do a lot of things on my own. And kind of growing up and witnessing, mental health and how it can affect people firsthand. So I think that, caused me to grow up pretty quick
Yeah,
and allowed me to mature a bit quicker. That's why a lot of people think I'm a lot older than I am. I don't know if it's because I just learned a lot when I was young, or my mom had me when she was a bit older as well. So I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of both, but yeah, I had to do a lot of things on my own, and but luckily I was a very social kid, so I had a lot of friends who had big families, so I got to see what it was like to, have brothers and sisters and stuff like that, even if they weren't my own.
smarter the wiser.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. And what were
Hmm.
some of the limiting beliefs like when your mindset growing up?
Yeah, so I remember being a kid, I always wanted to do music. My mom, and someone close to us who we called Auntie Kath always put me in musical theater, in different kind of creative dance classes when I was a kid, which I'm super grateful for because I was never really that intelligent when it came to the academic side of things. I
Mm,
always excelled when it came to the creative classes and drama and woodworking and art and all these things. But my limiting beliefs for sure were I always wanted to do music. I always wanted to do, modeling or this or that or whatever. But I never thought that it would be an option because I didn't have much money. I didn't have connections. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a mentor. So I never thought that it would be possible. And I remember just growing up and, I think a lot of people, especially when they're in middle school and high school, they're trying to find their identity. They're trying to like, who am I? What am I here to do? What's my style? Like, all these things. And so through middle school and high school, I actually pretty much stopped singing and doing music fully because I didn't think that it would be an option for me growing up. I didn't think that it was something that I could pursue just based on, like I said, not having much money or experience or
yes,
mentor or anything like that. So I'd say that was a limiting belief for sure, is just not believing in myself that I could do music and that I could push through it even if I was independent, even if I didn't have any money, and being open to collaborations and different things like that, which is really what got me through a lot of the beginning parts of my music career. And even now I collaborate with a lot of different artists, and Objects has been a great place to meet people who are also emerging in the creative scene and want to work with other creatives because photographers need a subject and artists need photographers, so um, I do like that in the city there's a lot of people that we can all work with each other
yeah.
because everyone needs each other for their own things. So yeah.
Take us through like the journey of uh getting over these limitations and limiting beliefs.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was just having fun. Like I got to a point where I'm like, I don't really care what anyone thinks I can do. I don't care even what I think I can do. I'm just gonna have fun and see what I can do. And that's also why, I have tried so many different genres of music, and I still plan to try different genres of music because I think it's important not to box yourself in and honestly try anything just to see what your potential is. Like even when it comes to fashion, it's like one day I look like I'm a punk, and the other day I look like I'm, a Barbie, and then the next day I look like I'm a Valley girl. Like I love playing with fashion and just and expressing myself in different ways, and just knowing that I don't always have to be dressed the same way um for my brand to be strong. It's like, and that's, but it can also be difficult when it comes to marketing yourself too. If I'm not
Yeah,
like super niche, like if I'm not always wearing like pink, then maybe I'm not as recognizable to people. But in the end of the day, I've kind of just learned to not care about the numbers and not care about, all the superficial things. It's like all I care about is, even if I have one person that's like, your song is my favorite, I listen to it all the time, or your song really helped me, it's like at least there's that one person, or anything like that. Because when I first started doing music stuff, I remember like putting so much pressure on myself and expecting things to blow up and getting all these numbers. And like, even right now my numbers aren't that high. Like I'm not bringing in thousands and thousands and thousands of streams, but in the end of the day, I'm really proud of the things that I've put out, and I
and
really like my
doing other
music. So I
value.
think,
Yeah,
yeah, so I think that's what
value.
matters,
Yeah,
is just you being happy with what you're putting out, not necessarily relying on other people to make you feel successful or stuff like that. It's even when it comes to like, self-love and thinking if, you're beautiful or you're handsome or whatever, it's like, are you solely putting, your physical looks for someone else to decide? Or are you looking in the mirror and saying, I look great today, and I
yeah,
don't need anyone else to tell me I look great. I know I look great, and I'm gonna go live my life. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think it,
Affirmations.
yeah, it connects in
Yeah,
so many different ways. And I think with music, a lot of people get discouraged um, by what other people think, or how much traction it's bringing in, or how much attention you're getting from it. And a lot of people, it puts a lot of pressure, and they end up never putting things out, or waiting so long to put things out. And then, the times pass, and then, they just have a backlog of stuff. It's like, just put it out. Just put it out when you have it, and move on, because people like to be a part of the growth. They like to see the process. They like, you know what I mean? So yeah,
yeah. It's not the fluff or the end point, but like the journey throughout
ex-
the process. And
exactly,
I just
exactly.
heard this quote. It's like successful people have doubts, but they don't stop. So it just keeps going.
Yeah.
So how does that self-love practice look like for you?
For me, a lot of it has come just from actually taking care of myself. So, eating good food, stretching, working out, trying to meditate and trying to do all these things. And I never, growing up, I never learned much about cooking. I never learned much about stretching and working out and all these self-love types of things. So it's something that I've, become a little more knowledgeable about as I've grown up. But I even slack on it a lot. Like I work so much, and I oftentimes put a lot of my own personal goals and dreams on the back burner, and just I'm like really pushing to help other people and help businesses and stuff. And I've slowly started to realize that, you know, my team, or, isn't getting the best of me because I'm constantly putting my own needs on the back burner. So I think, I remember when COVID happened and everything was shut down, that was the healthiest I've ever been in my life, because I was in control of my own time. I was in control of how I spent my day. I wasn't working off someone else's schedule, or I wasn't, you know what I mean? So I was waking up like
Yeah,
early, taking an hour out of my day before I went on my phone and stretch and work out. And,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
am definitely longing to get back to that point, and it is a big goal of mine to get back there. So I'm kind of in the middle right now of trying to find the balance of, you know, having time for myself, but also being able to work and push and grow other businesses and stuff as well. So there it is. I've always had a difficulty with balancing um my music and all, and like me, my music and my health and work, because I feel like it can be very difficult to balance important things at one
yeah,
time. Like health
yeah,
is so important, but also my music is so important. But for some reason it's so hard for me to like put my all into my music, and also put my all into my fitness, and also put my all into my job. So I'm trying to learn to, give, 30% to my work, 30% to my health, 30% to my music, and then 3 6 and then like 10% for like myself just as a person, like outside of Katrina Anastasia, outside of Katrina at Object, just like Katrina as an individual, it's so important to give yourself that too. Like I remember someone was saying that, like, when's the last time you did something just for you? Like go to see a
Yeah,
movie or,
yeah.
go on a walk or whatever. And I'm like, that
Solo
really
dates.
stuck with me. Yeah, because I was like, holy, I haven't done anything because every time I'm not working, I'm like, if I have a day off from work, I'm constantly like, oh, I'm so backlogged in music. Like, I need to, it's like I feel like I don't know how to stop and just chill. And I think that can help a lot with productivity as well as learning to slow it down and not worry if anyone's like, oh, you haven't put out any music recently. Because it's like, then you're working off of other people's schedule where they have no idea what you have going on?
It's like, do you know the word rest?
Not
Learn to
really.
slow down. And
Yeah.
so, how did you get into music? Like you said, 16.
Yeah,
T-
so I've always been singing. Like ever since I was young, I was able to hit pitch really well. That's something that like my mom and my family always told
mm,
me is I was just always singing. And then, like I said, my auntie Kath put me into musical theater, into dance. So I was in that creative scene. And then through high school and middle school, when I wasn't really sure what I was doing, I had someone ask me, they reached out to me and just said, hey, we need a vocalist to sing for this song. And they had the lyrics and everything prepared, and all I had to do was go in and sing it. And I went in and sang it. And then I was 16 at the time, and they were like, you should really write your own music. And at that
yeah.
point, I never, again, I was still in the mindset of like, oh, I could never do this, whatever. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should. And then I started trying, and all my first songs was just like so much rhyming, and it takes a long time to understand the art of songwriting. And I actually made like a little workshop, and I have a little presentation. I was teaching some
Ooh,
people some songwriting skills at
that's
objects a
dope.
few times. So yeah, it's just like it's one of those things that once you know the formula, you can kind of play around with it. So I would say when I was 16 and they were like, you should start writing music, is when I really kind of took it a little bit more seriously. But then even from 16 to 21, was that, I think it was, yeah, I think it was 2021. From 16 to 21, that was still all like just figuring myself out and development and understanding how I wanted to brand myself, and even figuring out what my artist name was going to be took me forever. And that's something that I feel like can also hold a lot of people back, because once you pick your artist name, you have to stick to it. And that's why I picked Katrina Anastasia, because I felt comfortable introducing myself as that, because that's my real name. Like Katrina Anastasia is my middle name. Whereas like I wasn't sure if I wanted to go by, like Doja Cat or all these people who have like stage names, or
So,
artists, so no, I'm happy with where I am, and I just want to continue to make sure I'm prioritizing it so I can continue to keep feeling satisfied and that I'm growing as an artist and not just kind of on this standstill, because I do a lot, and people are always like, "Oh my gosh, Kat, you work so much. Oh my gosh, you're doing so much." Da, da, da.
like
And like,
16 hours or
and
something one time? That's all. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah, like yeah, it's crazy. So I'm just trying to maintain my own goals as well as building other people's goals and businesses as well.
Oh, I'm curious. What are your goals? Like 12 years or
Yeah, so my goals right now, I got into a production course through
a
the
year,
soap.
sorry, not
Yeah.
12 years. Yeah.
I got in through to a production. It's called like the Equity Production course through the SOCAM Foundation. So it's for like women learning how to produce music. So I got into that course. So I've been slowly kind of watching the lessons from that. I also was in a DJ arts course with Youth
Wow.
for Change. So I really want to dive deeper into that. Like I really want to produce my own music, and I want to put out a full album where every single song on the album I've done everything on it, like the instruments and the mixing and the recording and the writing and the composition and all these things. That's a really big goal of mine. I do hope that like that's once I have the time, once I make the time for myself to
Make the time. No, not have time. Make it.
make once I make the time for myself to really sit down, that's definitely going to be the first thing I'm focusing on, is just building some music from scratch and seeing what I can do, because the It's Cool to Care project was pretty much that. I wrote everything on the guitar, and that was a lot of, my own work. And I was working with Davey at the time too, but I really want to learn to like really build a song, because it's like, yeah, I did guitar and voice, but I didn't do like guitar, voice, drums, bass, keyboard, like all these different elements. So that's definitely one goal. And then also I would love to learn, yeah, how to DJ better, and mix my singing and my music in with DJing and just learning how to mix and all these things. So I've learned a little bit. So it's one of those I just need time. I need to make time for myself to sit down and learn it because I love learning, but it is hard to get into something to get the ball rolling. So I don't just want to get into it and only have an hour of the day to do it and then have to put it away for the next 3 months. It's like I want at least like a week or, a few days in a row that I can just lock in and really learn and really, feel
Building the
immersed in the
momentum.
project.
Yeah,
Yeah, not feel like it's rushed
yeah,
and stuff. So
yeah, yeah,
those are my goals. And then also outside of music is like the fitness goals. Like I want to be eating 3 good hearty meals a day, like
yeah, yeah,
stretching every day, working out and just and being on top of those things as well. So yeah, kind of just finding the balance of everything I think is the biggest
yeah,
goal and listening to my gut, my intuition about things.
yeah. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So,
Yeah.
in your own words, to end off our segment, what would you say being limitless means to you?
I think being limitless is not letting anything, anyone, any thought stop you from, trying something new or achieving your dreams or talking to someone that you've never met before or going for that job that you don't think you can get. I think a lot of people overthink things and it stops them from opportunities that might pass them by, which they'd never get again. So I've even told myself, it's like, I will, when I'm on the street, and especially like if I'm in a good mood, which I most often try to be, I
Yeah,
will look, like, even if I'm passing a stranger on the street, I will always try to look at them and smile and make eye contact with them because there's something so special about acknowledging someone on the street that you may not know and having that smile with someone that you may never see again. I think it really shows that it's like there's opportunities that you can always talk, you can always start a conversation with a random person on the street and you have no idea where it's going to take you, right? But a lot of people these days, they keep their head down, their heads in their phone, they're walking the street, they won't acknowledge you. They're just in their
yeah,
own world.
yeah,
And I don't think it's because they're trying to be rude. I just think it's because they don't even know how to interact with people they don't know anymore because everyone's so in their phone and in technology, right? So I just think, yeah, being limitless is just going for all the opportunities that you see in front of you if you feel like it's a good opportunity, because not every opportunity is a good one. Some opportunities are not right, right? So it's going for all the opportunities that you feel good about and like pushing through that feeling of nervousness or feeling of like maybe they'll like reject me or this or
yeah.
that and just going through with it because the only person that you have to prove is yourself. Like you don't have to prove your work to anyone else. It's the only person is you, right? So do you want to get to 85 years old and say, oh, I wish I did that. I wish I did this. I should have talked to this person. I should have done this, whatever. Or do you want to get to 85 years old being like, I took all the opportunities and I did everything I could in this life and I'm content with where I'm at. Because I know for me, I don't want to get old and think, oh my gosh, I could have done so much more.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to make sure that I listen to my body and my soul and really just go with the flow. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to decipher like what you what you want, what you need and
Yeah,
with
yeah,
everything else
yeah.
going on and that's where I find my struggles. But yeah, being limitless is just not letting anything hold you back and just doing what you feel is right and not worrying about what anyone else is going to think and just having fun and being a kid and being playful and just playing games and just enjoying life, honestly.
Oh my God, it's amazing, amazing, amazing. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, of course. Thank you for
Yeah,
for having me and wanting me a part of this. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you
no
for
worries.
listening to
Thanks. Have a
episode
great day.
You
66,
too.
Going After Opportunities Life Gives, with Katrina Anastasia.